Welcome to All Things Greater Burlington, where you will hear from the movers, shakers, and change makers that are moving Greater Burlington forward. Here is your host, Stephen Brody.
Welcome to All Things Greater Burlington. Shearer is an award-winning private brand and co-manufacturer producing salty snacks, cookies, and crackers in North America. You may not see their name on all the products they make, but chances are high that you have enjoyed them. Whether you crave salty or sweet, they take pride in making the best snacks in the business. And I'm sure that there's many of you that have traveled along Mount Pleasant in West Burlington. You've driven past the plant and thought to yourself, what is going on behind there? And boy, would I like to know what's happening. Well, you're in for a treat today, no pun intended. We have Han O with us, the plant manager for Shearer here in West Burlington. And Han, thank you so much for coming in. I know you're very busy and there's a lot going on at the plant, but thanks for making the time to be with us.
Well, thanks, Stephen, for inviting me. I think this is a great opportunity to just share what we do at the plant. There's a lot of pride, I think, in the community. Having that cookie cracker plant there has been there for a long time, and it's just a great opportunity. So thank you. I appreciate it.
There was a time back where I had the blessing of taking a tour, visiting with you inside and touring the facility, and I was just blown away by what all takes place. I had no idea. And no idea what all takes place and the different lines that you have running there constantly, and just your outlook, your care, your philosophy for Shearer and for your workforce. So hopefully we'll get a chance to get into that with our time together. Sure. Let's get to know you a little bit real quick, Han. How long have you been with Shearer?
Well, I've only been with Shearer about 2.5 years. So
okay.
I'm relatively new. I worked for Procter & Gamble, making Pampers diapers for 25 years. So the running joke with my friends is that I've kind of moved up in the world from the tail end of the business to the front end of the business of food now, So, but just kind of growing up, and you wouldn't believe how big the diaper industry is.
Yeah.
It's huge.
I have 6 kids, so yes, I was a big investor in that for quite some time.
Yeah. I have 3, so I totally understand where you're coming from there. But coming from manufacturing, there's so many different aspects of manufacturing that you can learn through any product. So I was just really blessed to start with Procter & Gamble, and they're very good at manufacturing. P&G is very also good at centering the company on people. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of the principles I have were just influenced by starting with a really good company. And it's just become part of who I am. And I've learned through the company valuing really manufacturing through people. And when you start to see all the things that we do in a manufacturing plant, they fit into like 3 categories. We have equipment, we have people, and we have work processes. Mm-hmm. And every organization has that. And when equipment breaks, people fix the equipment. When work processes don't work anymore, people figure out how to get work done. Mm-hmm. But work processes and equipment never fix people.
Yeah.
And so it's one of the first lessons I learned was that in the manufacturing plant, the most important thing are our people.
You have to have quality folks to be able to work there, to be able to learn the process, and to want to enjoy doing what they're doing, to be able to have stability with what you're doing, because you're constantly churning out product.
Yes. We can turn out 1 million pounds of food in a day.
No kidding. 1 million pounds of food.
1 million pounds.
Wow. Okay.
And I think there was some stat I saw that said we could give every American a cookie or a cracker every 3 days, based on how much we make, in a day. But
now, is that throughout Shearer, or is that specifically the plant in West Burlington?
That's just the plant in West Burlington.
Wow.
Yeah. So
well, keep doing what you're doing.
We will.
We're very thankful for that.
I think people really like their cookies and crackers, But the plant itself, it looks small from the outside. But when you go inside, and you got to see it, like we have 11 ovens, and each oven's roughly like almost 2 football fields long. We have 200 burners. And so it's an amazing place that takes basically dough, cuts it, cooks it, and then packages it. That's basically what we do.
Unbelievable.
But we do it at a very high speed rate, lots of sophisticated equipment. and lots of like we call process or product transformation. So, there's a reason why people bake cookies in their home because it's relatively easy to do, but no one bakes crackers. And that's because when you mix the dough on crackers, you have to wait 12 hours. And there's 2 stages of mixing dough, which versus cookies, it only takes about a couple hours to mix and cure, and then you can bake it right away. So
there's a real science to this, isn't there?
There's a lot of science behind making food, definitely. A lot of the ingredients and even the raw material supply streams, we get affected even today. I think the news stated that Russia was backing out of the wheat flour agreement.
I did hear that.
Which is going to impact us eventually down the road, in terms of pricing. And so, global things impact us. And also right now we're going through a sodium reduction, and so the company's trying to be more healthy with the food that we're going through, and customers are asking for that as well. So there is a true science, whether it's business or even chemistry, that goes into the product that we make every day.
Are you a 24-hour-a-day operation there, Han?
We are. We run 24/7. We don't run all lines, all shifts. But we run 3 shifts. Basically, run every day of the week.
Okay. Yep. And excuse me, how would you say you're doing right now, workforce-wise? Are you at capacity? Are you in need of more folks?
Oh, we're always in need of great people. But right now, we are doing really well. We've just come out of a pretty big staffing slump, like a lot of the businesses around here. And we're basically at close to capacity, very close to capacity. This year, we've been very fortunate. Our business has just boomed. We just can't make enough. And so everyone wants our cookies and crackers. And it's just been a great year in terms of just sales and volume. So when you don't have enough people and you can't make enough product, those are the good problems to have.
When the product is ready to leave the plant, where does it go from there? Does it go to a distribution location? Does it get trucked somewhere? Does it go straight to stores? How does that work out?
Majority of our product actually gets shuttled from our plant to a warehouse just 2 miles down the road.
Okay.
We call it our South Warehouse, and it's right behind Arby's.
Okay.
Basically out there on Division.
Oh, yes.
Yep.
Okay.
And majority of the product sitting there is from our plant. We get some product from our Canadian plants that go there, and they're a distribution center. And so all the finished product goods that we ship to our customers are shipped out of that warehouse.
Okay. Is there constant truck traffic that's going on, comings and goings in the area?
Yes, constant truck traffic. I think we see roughly about 30 trucks a day. And, when it's really, really busy, we're looking 60, 70 trucks a day.
Okay.
So it's a really fast load times. I think our warehouse, we have a great crew at the warehouse. They do the fastest load times in the company. So they do a really good job of keeping up with the customer orders.
Your official position is plant manager.
Yes.
So give folks an idea, what is the role of a plant manager?
Well, it simply stated, the role of plant manager is responsible for everything at the plant.
Not that much then.
Not that much. Yeah. Definitely more than a one-person job. And I have I'm very thankful of my leadership team, about 10 leaders there that are very good at what they do. They're teaching me every day. I'm coming from the diaper world, so what do I know about food, right? So, but they have the mastery and expertise, and they're always teaching me about how the business runs. They're also very good with our people, as well as work processes and take care of our equipment. The site's been in that location about 76 years, so it's been there for a while. So we have a lot of equipment packed in a lot of tight spaces. And some of the equipment's old. So our leaders have been around. Some of them have been around for 25, 28 years at that site.
Oh, wow.
So they have a lot of history, and they basically run the plant. It's definitely more than a one-person job. So,
Yeah. I can't imagine that there's such a thing as a typical day. That when we get there, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there is a set routine that you engage in every day. Is that true or not?
We try to make the plant as routine as possible.
Okay, that would be a good thing.
Yeah, it would be a good thing. In fact, repeatability and stability is probably the number one thing a plant strives for.
Yeah.
Any disruption, whether it's a material supply stream disruption, a late delivery, or equipment breakdown, or staffing issues, those all cause an unstable line.
Yeah.
And when that happens, it usually creates losses, and losses usually means you're losing money.
Yeah.
Right? And so it also means that our people have to work harder. And so anytime that you can keep things routine, stable, and boring is really good.
I was just going to say, so boring is better.
Boring is better.
Okay.
Yes. But our days are never boring.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's always challenges. We always do our annual high voltage maintenance for power during 4th of July. So we just finished that.
Yeah.
It's the only time throughout the year we literally shut off everything in the plant.
Mm-hmm.
And so coming up from that startup, usually a tougher startup, you know, and so the things we discovered this time around while we were down, the things we just didn't anticipate. You know? And so that's the other thing about our plant and all of our teams. They're just never give up. We'll conquer everything we see, you know, in the path and take on every challenge. I think that's part of this area, just because we kind of are in a farming area and where farmers know that, you know, if a tractor breaks down in the middle of the field, you have to fix it you know, if you want to get things going. And so that work ethic translates to the plant.
Yeah.
And so I'm really proud of our folks, because no matter what unexpected challenge we see in a day that's not boring, they really handle really well.
Yeah.
And so there are times, many times they've surprised me where they fix something, or they'll jury rig something, you know, to just make it work temporarily until we can get the right part in. And really, it always puts a smile on my face just to see how, I just call it ingenuity. It's ingenuity at its purest, for sure.
When it comes to food safety and food quality, do you have folks on site that are monitoring that, or are folks coming from off site to check in and see how things are being run?
Both. We have a full quality team on site, and they monitor everything from, you know, how well the packages are sealed to even we do hundreds of microbial swabs and monitor that ongoing all the time. And then just as another layer of capability, we have our corporate leaders come and they help us do audits just to make sure that we're looking at everything. You know, sometimes when you do something routine enough, some things become a little bit not as visible. They're a little bit more blind. So our corporate leaders come and help make sure that we don't have any blind spots. You know, and if we do, we shore those up and keep working on those. Basically continuous improvement all the time.
Yeah. When we were there for the visit, you spent a good amount of time talking about the core values and your real emphasis on the employee satisfaction. Can you talk about that? I'm sure that's an easy thing for you to want to talk about, because it rolled off your tongue very easily, and you were communicating in a way that you really care about the staff. You care about the employees. You want them to be happy. You want them to be productive. But there's a thought process, a philosophy.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that comes from my family, really. I moved from the United States when I was 4 years old. I was born in Seoul, South Korea. And my parents moved us here. And they couldn't speak the language. And so employment was really difficult to find when you can't speak the language. My parents eventually got hired on by General Electric, and they worked for GE in a AC/DC motors plant for 26 years before they retired as manufacturing operators. I was very blessed that I got to intern at that plant as I was going to engineering school. And I remember the first day I was going to start working there, I was so excited that I got to work in the plant my parents worked in. You know? And so I remember that morning I put my stuff down on the desk and I walked out to the floor, and I just watched my parents from a distance just to see what they were doing. And I remember just feeling so humbled and thankful that that's what they did to support us, you know. And so I think that's where it comes from. I've been in plants throughout the world, many, many plants, whether suppliers or the company's plants with Procter & Gamble and even with Shearers. And the common thing you see is everyone's just trying to take care of themselves and their family. You know, that's why they're working so hard. And when you kind of boil it down to that, that's really what the plant is. We're producing product, But ultimately, you're solving problems and relying on each other to help each other to either fix things or cover for each other when you are not at work. Or even in some cases, we have a large non-English speaking population at Shears. So for some people, it's translating, you know, and just helping out. And so that's when you know that you've kind of hit the sweet spot, is when you can really see a team working well together without a lot of policies and rules and things, and they're just doing it because they care about each other.
Right.
And a lot of that comes from the fact that my parents, you know, worked in manufacturing. I got to see that. And so no matter where I am in the world, if I'm on a manufacturing floor, first thought is of my parents.
Yeah.
You know,
Isn't that wonderful?
It is. I never realized that's the way I felt about it until I started more so leading plants and what is important to me. And so for me, every person in the plant's important. Even our contractors that come on site, they're not part of our Shears team, but they are, you know, and they help maintain the plant all the way from our sophisticated HVAC systems or our silos all the way down to just janitorial services, you know. And it takes everyone to make that plant run. There isn't anything that is not important. Some of our folks there, we have a pretty healthy population of veterans, you know, which we really love our veterans. And they'll be the first ones to tell you that, you know, in the military, you don't have bathrooms, you don't have food, there are a lot of upset people. You know?
Right.
So the plant's very similar in that nature. And so it takes the entire plant and all the people there to run it really well.
Yeah.
You know?
Do you do anything, Han, in terms of activities for the employees? You have like a Shears Day somewhere or some sort of like employee appreciation?
Yeah, we have lots of those throughout the year. Some are as small as just showing appreciation meals. And so we'll get vending trucks over, or Hy-Vee does a great job of providing meals for us as well. To things as formal as we have an annual Years of Service event. This year we did it at the golf club. We had close to 200 people that we recognized.
Nice.
And we just recognized their years of service, anywhere ranging from 50 plus years down to 5 years, you know. So when you see that, they bring their family members as well too. And it's nice to recognize someone's years of service with their peers and their family members.
Yeah.
You know? So it's a really neat thing we do. We probably are involved in at least 10 to 15 community events. In each one of those, we invite all of our team members to participate. You know, we take care of their entry fees or whatever, all those things, just so that they can have a fun night, but also represent the company at those events.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a partial team building event, as well as just making our presence out in the community and trying to give back.
Well, we appreciate you being a part of not only the Chamber of Commerce, but the partnership as a whole too. You've come to the annual dinner. You've played in our golf classic. We've seen you at the Manufacturers Appreciation Luncheon. So, I mean that speaks volumes, and we're really glad that you step out and you are involved in that.
I appreciate that. I think it's important because I see that the plant is part of a bigger community. And when I always tell our folks, when we do well in the company and our people do well, if wages go up, then the community does well. And so we have this direct tie to how well the community can be financially, as well as just participating and not only just spending our money in the community, but also offering our time. And so I know a lot of our employees and team members are involved in different things, whether it be like a chili cook off for like a fire department, or even the local schools that asked us if we'd be willing to donate cookies for their employee development days. We said that'd be awesome, and so we did that. And so I think the fact that we make cookie crackers, it's not just a product, but if you see what people do with cookies and crackers, it kind of is a tool for relationship building. I remind our team members, like, what do kids do with cookies during Christmas? They leave them out for Santa, Or my father's in a nursing home, and my mom's probably goes and visits him 3-4 times a week. But every time she goes, she takes his favorite snacks with her. And so I think that's the unique part of what we do is we just don't make a product, but we offer a product that helps build relationships.
Oh, that's sweet.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite item there?
Oh, it's hard. It's hard to pick one. It's also hard to just eat one too.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah. I mean, I'm kind of partial to our sandwich cream cookies with the like Oreo type cookies. Like they're so good.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I can't have chili without crackers. So it is tough to only have one.
Do you volunteer yourself as a taste tester to make sure
As much as I can.
It's so tough.
It is.
Now, can you share with the listeners the type of brands that you produce there? I don't know if that's secret or not, but
Oh no, we produce products for Kellogg's, for Kraft, for Mondelez. There'll be brand names such as Oreos. For Mondelez, we make premium saltine crackers, which is in the white box. If you go down the Walmart aisle, that's what you'll see. But we also make our biggest customer is Walmart. It's probably the same for most manufacturers, and so they have a great value brand.
Yes.
So anything labeled great value that's sold in Walmart, we make a lot of those products.
Okay.
Outside of our plant for potato, because we don't make potato chips, but for the rest of the company, they make all the potato chips for Panera restaurants.
No kidding.
All the potato chips for Jimmy John's. Yeah. And as I was kind of telling you earlier,
You're getting me hungry. I'm loving those.
we now make Old El Paso taco shells, and so
my wife just bought those yesterday. Yeah. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I would say if we walked into any average American household and opened the cupboard, we'd probably find anywhere from 30 to 50% of that cupboard being products we make.
Yeah.
For the company. So
okay.
Lots of different products.
And so when it gets to the facility, the warehouse,
yes,
there on the other end of town, I would imagine that some of that product then will end up, like you mentioned, at the Walmart here.
Yes.
In town.
Yep, that's right.
Okay.
Yep. So Walmart or Hy-Vee, even Target. So we source and serve a lot of customers, all the major ones, and all over basically North America, even down into Mexico. So, yes. So locally, I'm sure our products end up on local store shelves as well as throughout North America.
Did I read this right on your website, Han? The Shearers have 14 plants with more than 100 lines.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
Yep. They're mostly in the United States and Canada. Most of the plants are in the United States, but all across the United States. Most of those are potato chip plants. We're the only cookie cracker plant in the company.
You are?
Yes.
Okay.
So we're kind of unique.
Yeah.
Whereas the other plants, there's one other cookie plant in Canada, and the rest of the plants are really all the other products, mostly potato chips.
Is it because this plant was always a cookie and cracker plant and then became part of the Shearers family?
That's correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Originally started out, for some of the folks that remember that have lived here a while, started out as an Iowa biscuit company. Started on a 5-story building downtown. It's still there. If you look at the very top, it's still carved in stone IBC.
Oh, okay.
So it's still there. And then in 1946, moved to the location at Mount Pleasant and has been there ever since. But over that time, it's gone from Iowa Biscuit Company to Midwest Biscuit Company to Snyder's Lance, and then Snyder's Lance, and then Shearers. And so it's been at least 4 times changed hands in terms of the company itself.
And there have been some expansions there at the plant, right?
Oh, yeah. We've had multiple
It's
expansions. It's grown. So originally it only started with a couple lines, and now we have 11 lines there. And so the last expansion we had was in 2015, which was really adding another cracker line that makes most of the product is for Mondelez. So most of the premium saltine white box you see is what that line makes.
Are you able to estimate, and I think you've said this before, like from dough to packaging, is there a time where it's like from the time we go to here to the time to here, it takes that long?
Yes, if you started mixing because of the dough curing times.
Okay.
Right, so for a cracker dough, it takes about 12 hours to cure that. So from the time you make it, it's going to be 12 hours later before you dump it and start putting it through our laminators and our cutters and then into the ovens. But the time it drops to the time it gets packaged, I mean, you're probably talking minutes. It's not very long. And cookies is kind of the opposite. It only takes a couple hours to cure the doughs. And then same, it only takes, minutes before it's packaged and ready to go out the door. So it's high-speed manufacturing, and not just speed, but also volume. So we make, if you were there at the plant and you got to see it, Steve, where you see literally several rows of crackers just backed all the way up down the line, and so that's it takes a lot of equipment coordination and process coordination for all that to happen. But our process is pretty fast.
Yeah. Are you seeing anything down the road in terms of innovation or automation that might be coming for what you're involved with?
Yes. So like we have a lot of old equipment. So mixing is one area where we have a lot of old equipment where we're still kind of hand dosing ingredients.
Okay.
And so there's technology out there that will automate dosing of ingredients, as well as they're called batching systems. And so there's other plants throughout the industry that already use those. So we're looking at things like that to help aid ingredients. So obviously if you put the wrong type of ingredients in, either have to throw the dough away or have to, we call it hand tossing, but basically reformulate the dough again to make the chemistry right. Sometimes if you don't get that right, it just doesn't process well. You end up with a lot more waste. But that's an area that we're looking at in the future, as well as once it gets dumped and it gets cooked in the packaging, there's a lot of moving equipment. And so some of that equipment's older as well too. And so we're always looking for different technologies like cobots or just more automated movements of product versus just manual packing.
What do you do with waste when you discover that something is not correct?
That's a great question. We handle waste in two streams. One is basically waste that we know is contaminated, so to speak, which is very, very little. Most of it is kept at a certain standard of edibility, and then it's sold to another company who feeds animals with it.
Okay.
Yep, so animal feed. So we have specific standards around that waste to keep that waste stream clean enough for animals.
Well, that's nice. So it doesn't go completely to waste.
Correct.
You're able to still use it then.
Correct. And we are a zero waste landfill waste site. And so we're really conscious of making sure that we don't just increase the footprint of how much waste is going in the ground.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Is there anything else that you would like to share about Shears that you're proud of, that maybe folks don't know about, that they should know about this plant, which is right in their backyard?
Well, I think the biggest thing I'm most proud of is just our people. And I think if the average person would come in off the street and just see the work that our people do and the problems they solve every day, I think it'd be shocking to most folks. The technical issues, I think for most people, thinking baking a cookie or a cracker is not that difficult because it's something you do in your home, especially the cookie side, right? But at that level of speed and technologically advanced equipment, like our ovens have up to 200 burners, and so making sure they're all split into 5 zones, and then we have a pretty big microwave oven on the end of 2 of those, so those all have to work right.
Yeah.
But I would think this local, just general population, if they were to come in, they would be really shocked at how technologically challenging it is to bake product, but also be very proud of how well our people solve problems. That's the thing I'm probably most proud of.
And do you have local, like when there is a problem with the equipment, do you have local technicians that are able to come to fix it?
We do. We have many partners we have throughout the city that help us with running the plant. Just name a few. Winger's one of them, as well as KCI. They do a lot of work for us, and they bring in specifically skilled people that are specialized in a specific area in a plant where we may not see that problem very often. And so to specialize things to just general things, we don't have enough technical people that can help. They just kind of pitch in and help us solve things as well too. And it can be anything from specifically working on equipment in the plant to we even partnered with the city to figure out wastewater or stormwater that's going, basically the pipes run under our plant into a culvert on the north side of the plant. And so that culvert's owned by the city, and then right next to it, Burlington Northern owns a railroad there. And so all three of us had to partner together to figure out the water in culvert and why it wasn't moving at that time. But we got it solved, and it worked out fine. But yes, there's a lot of partners we work with throughout the city.
Fantastic. Well, I could go on asking you questions. Unfortunately, we are out of time. But Han, it's been a pleasure having you here, sharing the Shearer story and everything that's going on there. And just wish you continued success and for being such an important partner in the community and the services that you provide here. So thank you again so much.
Thank you, Stephen. I really appreciate it, and giving me a chance to tell the story. So thank you.
We appreciate you listening with us today. Don't forget to like and subscribe wherever it is that you're listening with us. And give us a call at the Greater Burlington Partnership if you have ideas on who you'd like to hear on future programs. Until then, we'll see you next time on All Things Greater Burlington.
You have been listening to All Things Greater Burlington with Stephen Brody. Be sure to hit the subscribe button to catch all new episodes. To learn more about all things Greater Burlington, visit greaterburlington.com/ATGB.